This is the Voice of the Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
Well, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Unlike last week, where we were riding the highest of highs, Browns on their first four-game win streak, 4-1 for the first time since 1994. Boy, the bottom dropped out today, didn't it, boys? Out there in good old... I'm not even going to say the city name because as much as they earned that victory today, I still don't like them. I'm never going to like them, and I'm never going to give them the credit that they are due as a fan. Yes, they are a good team. I will give them the respect as an actual broadcaster, but as a fan, you will not hear me give that team to the East any credit at all and give them any semblance of credit at all. Wow, I feel like a punch to the gut here this evening. I don't know. Hopefully we get things rolling, but we are here for the Voice of the Land here on Big Play, and we are ready to have as much fun as we can. We got to get the particulars out of the way of talking about this Browns team after today's loss. Of course, they do still sit at 4-2. But we kind of posted it out there, and we're going to talk about the main question today. Are they still the same old Browns, or is there something still different about this team, and what kind of path are they truly on this season? We will really look into the looking glass here this evening for that. But this is the Voice of the Land. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold, alongside me, as always, across the table and socially distant while we are in the same studio. We are socially distant. Want everybody to know that. I didn't clarify that last week, our first time on Big Play. But my brother Nick Paulus and our producer extraordinaire behind the proverbial glass, Peter Tellep. We are partnered with Web Streaming Studio by LPV Productions. You can always find the podcast, if you can't catch us live at 7 p.m., on Big Play, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and at VTL Pod on Twitter, live on there. You can always catch the restream in all those locations, as well as on Google, Spotify, and Apple. The audio is always posted in podcast form throughout the week, and get that posted as quickly as we can once the live show does end each time. We are sponsored this season by DP Construction LLC. Reach out to them for all your concrete construction needs. Big Browns fans, I'm sure they're feeling it today, but they will help you. If you got some concrete issues around the house, at least get some stresses off your plate. DP Construction LLC will definitely do that for you. Reach out to them at 330-217-4999. That is 330-217-4999. Or you can reach out to Tyler LaFrada and Uncle Steve, and they will get you all hooked up and get you hooked up through Facebook with a quote as well. You can always find Paulus on Twitter and have conversations with him. The gift masters, we try to.
That's right.
We try to coin him here, and he's got his Bang energy drink to try to get through this maybe mess or whatever this show is going to be into.
Sure. Yeah,
but he's getting that plug in for Bang energy drink, trying to get that sponsorship. And you can always reach out to him on Twitter at CLE_Paulus. Reach out to LPV Productions on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all of the social media sites. Myself on Twitter at Kevin7, because somehow, some way, I always come through in the clutch when it matters most. And, of course, at VTL_pod on Twitter and Instagram for the show, at Voice of the Land on Facebook. And we do have a YouTube page at Voice of the Land Podcast as well. Getting all the particulars out of the way to start, let's just jump right in, fellas. Boy, what a beatdown that was. I know we're going to get into a bunch of stats, but I think the big stat that matters, 76-13 in the two losses to your rivals, the ones that if you really want to compete in the AFC North, then the Baltimore Ravens, and as a broadcaster, I will say this time the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, yeah.
Losing to them 38-6 in the first game, 38-7 today, and making a ton of mistakes. Nobody really immune to any of the criticism today. Paulus, where are you at right now?
Cheerful. Woo! We're 4-2. We are 4-2. Now,
I was gonna say, was that sarcasm coming across the table?
I want to put it out there like this, okay, for everyone.
Yeah.
I could come on here and be like what Tony Rizzo says, old sad bastard out here. I mean, we could totally pull that card. We shouldn't at this point in time. Did we get beat down? Yeah. Did they just toss us out of the contender club? Yeah, they did, because we are not contenders. I'm throwing that out there. It sucks to hear that.
Reality check, folks. Right off the top of the show.
Reality check. It pisses me off more than anything else in this world, because I wanted them to crush the Steelers. You and I talked about it last week. I wanted Miles to annihilate Big Ben. I didn't want Big Ben to have a great game. I didn't want him to do anything. I didn't want him getting out of the first quarter. And we don't want anyone to get hurt. I understand that.
Yeah, we're not pulling no Jeff Schwartz thing going on here.
I'm not pulling that sort of stuff. But I am saying, in a game mentality sort of thing, I didn't want Ben to do a damn thing. And honestly, he didn't. He really didn't do a whole lot today. He's not the one that crushed us. What crushed us was turnovers and penalties and just stupid things that you can fix, okay? Baker, third play of the game, throwing into 11 coverage. I mean, literally, why was he throwing that ball? It's one of those plays that it just pisses me off more than anything else in the world. The drop back, one read, and just throw it, because that's the only play that you had marked up for that. Steelers saw it, obviously. Minka picks it off, runs it in. They went on an 11-play drive, got the field goal. Then we go 3 plays. So in 14 plays, we're already down 10-0. And you're behind the 8 ball after that.
I feel like the game was over by that point.
It absolutely was.
That sucks to say, but that's kind of where the same old Browns conversation comes from.
Well, and we're talking about this because a lot of things are going to come up about Baker's confidence. Now, I was cutting up a lot of sound for ESPN Cleveland and their post-game interviews for them. And Jarvis, they asked him, do you have any issues with Baker and his confidence or anything like that? Is he lacking confidence after this? And they said, absolutely not. Baker is a confident dude, and he's going to be his own confident self. And that reassures me and makes me happy, because a sad Baker and a broken Baker, we saw that all last year. We're 4-2. I want to get back to that. We are 4-2. Had I told you at the beginning of the year, Kevin, this Browns team is going to struggle in the first game, kind of saw that coming, but then they're going to go on a run and they're going to win 4 straight games. But then you lose to the Steelers, okay? I'm not going to tell you heartbreaking or not, but you're 4-2 after 6 games. Would you have taken that?
No.
You wouldn't have taken... Because I don't believe you. And I'm just throwing that out there. I think any Browns fan out there...
Honestly, you can try to place any sort of, that you don't believe me or anything like that on this. I absolutely disdain everything I see on Twitter of, the Browns are 4-2. Everything's okay. Just take a deep breath. It's not good enough. We said from the beginning of all of this that no matter what they said, it wasn't going to matter until they did it on the field. We aren't just here to just make the playoffs because there's an extra team there and get blown out in the first game of the playoffs. Okay. That's not what this is. That's not what the standard should be. Just because how bad this organization has been since 1999 and even before that point, hold on, because I am going on a rant right now.
Go ahead.
And this is absolutely ridiculous that people, we're 4-2, so you're still in a good spot. But you have lost big time to your 2 arch rivals in the North. So you have, right now, you have a very, very slim chance. You have to win at home against the Ravens. You have to win at home against the Steelers. Next week is a must-win against the Bengals because you can't go 1-1 against them to think you're going to do anything in the AFC North. If you want to prove that you're just not average or right along the medial line of going to the playoffs and getting your ass blown out, I'm, sorry to be so blunt, but to get your butts beat like they have in these 2 games, you have to go on the road and be able to beat these teams to have legitimacy in the AFC North. So 4-2 is all well and good, and we can, throw balloons and confetti that, at least
I'm not saying that we should be thrilled that we got our asses handed to.
So no one should be thrilled after this game.
No one
yes,
should
the
be.
Silver lining is that you're 4-2,
Right.
and you can turn things around next week. And before you get into the bye, I think they have what 2 or 3 more weeks before
a couple more
the bye
weeks.
week. What is it? November 8th is the bye week.
Believe so. Yeah.
So
yes, it is. So you have 2 more games: Bengals, Raiders. At the Bengals, home against the Raiders.
So you can find your way into 6-2 going into that bye week.
Everyone would take that.
That's all well and good, but you still have 2 losses to AFC North opponents who have been at the cream of the crop. And if you want to get yourself into that conversation and compete, this isn't just about get yourself into the playoffs and have that extra little door, that little extra crack in the door open that the NFL has now provided to the rest of these teams that have been mediocre for a long time or crap for a long time and trying to get good. It's not good enough to just squeak into a 7 seed and get your doors blown off. It is up to this team to make the corrections quickly and go through the rest of the season and prove to us that they can actually compete. That being above 500 means you can compete in the playoffs, not just squeak your way in.
Do you honestly, reality check time, okay?
Because I just gave everybody else a reality check right now.
And I'm glad that you did, because I'm going to ask you this question. I want your honest answer.
Yeah.
Is this a Super Bowl caliber team?
No.
Then what are we talking about? If you are 4-2, we are a playoff contending team. Is that fair to say?
Barely. Because there's that 7 spot. That's the only reason why a team.
I don't believe that's the only reason why. If you look at this schedule,
they need to go out there and prove it.
I 100% agree with you. That
so you're giving them solace.
I'm not.
You're
saying,
trying to leave the door open for any sort of
saying
there is no positivity after this game.
I agree that if you look at it from this game, you could go sad bastard the entire week.
It's not sad bastard. It's requiring and holding them to a different standard than we have in the past.
Yeah, and you know what? I am holding them to a different standard because they are 4-2. But I understand that the better team won today. That doesn't mean that they can't be the better team next time. Next time it's going to be at home.
But you got to go into their
Baltimore,
place. You have to go into their place and
win. They're not ready yet. Kevin, they're not ready yet.
Then that's not good enough.
It has to be good enough for right now because it's what the cards we were dealt. Next time that we face Pittsburgh, we're going to have Nick Chubb. I think it's a little bit different. And they just lost Devin Bush today. Probably the biggest part of their defense to a torn ACL.
It didn't look like it on the field.
I'm telling you right now, they are going to have to redo that entire defense around that because Devin Bush means that much to them. Now, I'm not saying that I wish poorly upon anybody or anything like that, but we are going to have Nick Chubb next time. It's a fact. And this team rolls differently whenever you have Nick Chubb behind that offensive line. And the offensive line did not perform well.
They didn't do that in Baltimore. It looks exactly the same.
It was the first game of the year, and we knew going into it that we were going to get shell-shocked. You and I talked about that before. If everyone wants to go back and check out Voice of the Land on YouTube, go back and watch episode 2. Season 4. I guarantee you will say, I agree, but you will go and see that we talked about it. They were going to get shellacked. Like, we were excited. Brown season starts up. Here we go. Probably going to lose to the Ravens because the Ravens are a better team. The Steelers are a better team. That doesn't mean that we should be sad bastard for the entire week. I'm looking.
You're painting a picture on me that is not what I'm saying.
And I'm not trying to say that you're a sad bastard or anything like that.
But that's what is being painted. If someone goes against the fact that 4-2 is not good enough, because teams like the Ravens and the Steelers in the rest of the AFC, the Ravens and the Steelers in your own division still don't take you seriously. So the rest of those teams
shouldn't.
Kansas City, those types of things are not going to take you seriously, and you're going to get your doors blown off.
If I told you a year ago,
if you're not competing for a if you're not good enough to compete for a Super Bowl,
then they should just give up, right? You know what, Browns? You're good.
It looks like they gave up today. I don't
Because
want to see them give up like they did against the Ravens in the
They
series. That's what
got
I'm
their
saying.
doors blown off
That's
by
what
a
I'm
better
saying.
team.
You need to find
you can get better down the road. As of
we
right
keep
now,
saying that, and then they get into a big game and they
crap
the bed.
What did they do last week against the Colts? They beat a resilient Colts team. We were just thrilled that we beat the number one defense last week. Now the number one defense statistically overall is Pittsburgh this week, and we got blown out by them. Okay. That being said, it sucks. That sucks, especially whenever we lose to Big Brother. And that's what they are right now. Both them and the Ravens are Big Brother. Cincinnati, you will always be little brother. Throwing that out there.
Well, watch out because they
and they lost today again because they choked it away against the Colts, a team that we just beat. Now, I'm not saying, oh, you beat this team and then that team, and then there we go like that. No, I'm not saying that. But I truly believe we are going to blow the doors off of the Bengals. And I truly believe that we're a better team than the Oakland Raiders. So if you do go 6-2, ergo facto, you are looking pretty good to get that playoff spot. And you still have a lot of opponents that are very winnable. That being said, we know that this team was not a contender for the Super Bowl. But if this team can beat 60 to 70% of the other NFL teams, there's about 12 teams, okay, 10 to 12 teams that are probably hands down better prepared or just better overall than the Browns, okay? That's just a fact. And that's where we're at right now, especially because Kevin Stefanski, it's his first year on the job. I think you and I both agree Stefanski has done a phenomenal job overall so far, correct?
Decent job.
Decent. I'll take that. I'll take that. I think he's done a fantastic job. Okay. That all getting into this shows me that we are not prepared to play with the big boys as of yet. It's just shown itself on the field. You know, it's unfortunate. It's just one of those things where it hurts me to say that because I thought that this team could go a little bit farther. Okay, not Super Bowl, but maybe win a playoff game. This team looks like a playoff seeded team, a 6 or a 7 right now.
A 7 at best. Someone that's going to get their doors blown off and it's going to feel pointless.
It's a playoff team,
and
though.
even at 6-2, the season feels empty going into those two places and laying.
Tell me, if we make the playoffs this year, you tell me, we'll look back on this conversation, and I guarantee you're going to have a different thought process. You're going to look at this and go, man, we got an extra game. Like anything can happen, and anything can happen once you get to the playoffs. And at that point in time, who knows? Maybe something will break our way. There's a lot of times in the playoffs, people go on runs.
That's Major League Baseball playoffs, right? And more so anything can happen, especially if you got the pitching. You don't have to have the lineup. We all know how that all went for us here, too.
Number one seed makes the playoffs and wins everything. Okay. Kansas City was not the number one seed last year, yet they ended up winning the Super Bowl.
But a gap between number 2 or number 3 that does go on to win it and number 7 is too big. And we're not
at that point yet, is what I'm saying. Next year, maybe. But you got to build on this sort of success. We were talking about going to the playoffs last year. Okay. We expected playoffs going into last year, coming off of 7-8-1. And that's what we should have been. We should have been a playoff team.
Yep.
But instead, we had Freddie Kitchens and everything blew up in our face. We had, bumbling Freddie Kitchens is what we like to call him around here. And it blew up in our face. And that it was a wasted year. That's exactly what it is. This year that we're doing right now is what last year should have been. And then that meant that this year should have been, ascending upwards. And I think if you have Kevin Stefanski for 2 years, you're looking a lot better. That's just me. I didn't think that we were a contending Super Bowl team, which is what the Steelers really are, what the Ravens are, what the Chiefs are. I understand that they are in our conference, and that sucks for us right now. The fact that we are going to have to go up against Lamar Jackson, and I know they suck right now, but Joe Burrow looks legit, and he is a legit quarterback. And we got to go up against Lamar and Joe Burrow for the next 15 years. That sucks. Because I don't have the confidence in Baker. If we want to talk about Baker love meter, we can talk about that. But I just don't feel confident. I want to know. I understand that we shouldn't be thrilled about today. And coming out saying oh yeah, I'm happy. We're 4-2. the way that I'm trying to look at this, Kevin, is that it sucks today. Getting your doors beat off 38-7 sucks.
Yeah.
But there is a silver lining that we are 4-2, and we have 2 winnable games before we hit the bye week, and then we can reset, get a couple people back. Hopefully Nick Chubb comes back. Maybe not within the next 2 weeks, but we get a couple more people, and then maybe be able to make that eventual playoff push that we should have done last year, but hopefully it's this year.
And yet you are still a team that it's not even playoff contention that this team is on the verge of. It's trying to squeak in and then again get your doors blown off. Like, that's how far away this team still is. And people need to open their eyes to how far away this team still is. And you may not even have your quarterback right now. We'll get into the love meter here in a second.
Sure.
But you may not even have your quarterback of the future, your franchise quarterback. You may not even have that right now. We went from 4 weeks of feeling good, having victory Mondays, to back to 1 week in 14 plays, back to feeling like, we may not have the guy.
Possibly same old Browns. Agreed.
And that's not what this should be about. Yes, you want to see progress. I don't want to go into Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Yeah, they're more seasoned. They're the better team. That's makes all the sense in the world. But to have your doors blown off, and they're basically being able to take their foot off the gas, they're taking the foot off the gas for you.
They did.
And you can't even have 25% of what Dallas did when the Browns took their foot off the gas pedal down in Jerry's world. Because the gap is so much wider. You need to go into these places. It's not necessarily that, it sucks either way to lose. Losing sucks. I'm one of the most competitive people going. And people can tell you from my past that I don't really react to losing well at all.
Yeah.
It sucks. But it sucks even more when you're trying to dig in and see the reality of the situation, see progress, and you don't see it when it matters most. Again, once the conversation starts to switch in the Browns' favor, whether locally, nationally, whatever, and you get the A show, and for my wrestling fans out there, my fellow wrestling fans, you'll get that reference, but you get the A show. You get Jim Nantz, Tony Romo. Yes, it's still 1 o'clock,
sure,
but most of the country is getting that game if they don't have a regional game at that time, because it's Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. Way better than Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on Fox. Anything is better than Joe Buck, honestly. I
understand. I understand.
No,
Joe Buck.
No. Hang on.
No.
Hang on.
No.
Anything is better than listening to Joe Buck do anything these days.
There are worse announcers out there.
Paulus, can you let me finish, please?
Maybe.
Can you please let me finish?
Go ahead.
One statement.
Go
here.
ahead.
CBS. I give you the floor all the time. You need to give me the floor when I'm talking.
Go ahead. Floor is yours.
CBS has the A show on this for football on Sundays. And every single time we seem to get the A show to cover us because we have kind of inched our way to that level of, relevancy. We crap the bed. We can't find a way to do that. So if you beat a team that you're supposed to beat next week in Cincinnati and go to 5-2 like you're supposed to, good. You did what you were supposed to do. You go and you beat Oakland, who is kind of teetering in the same kind of realm that you are right now. You go and beat them. Well, that's a team that's looking at possibly playoffs early on in this season too. So that's some credibility coming to your record. But as you build, you need to show that there is some sense within the organization that you are ready when the spotlight shines brightest, that your team is ready. And at the most marquee and most important position in all of sports, you may not be able to shine that spotlight on this team still. The question marks are still there. I understand everything that Freddie Kitchens did to Baker last year. And yes, Freddie Kitchens was bumbling and stumbling and, in the wrong way, unlike what Chris Berman would say, scoring a touchdown. Freddie was bumbling and stumbling, But you have to, as a quarterback, if you're going to take your game to that next step, to that next level, you have to be able to, yes, make mistakes, weed out those mistakes, push past them, and still have success. He's hurt. I get it. This is a no-excuse team. Kevin Stefanski said that. So if they're going to say it, they damn sure better be about it. So we're not giving any excuses either. Peter, where are you at with this Browns team? 24 minutes into this, where are you at?
Well, I have to say I am happy that they're 4-2. Don't yell at me. But I thought they looked just pathetic today. I was hoping, and I honestly didn't think we were going to go in there and win.
No. But look like that?
But I didn't think we were going to look like that. And the fact that, that pick six, I mean, it happens. It happens to the best of them.
Yep.
But that just really seemed to just deflate the team. And they, I didn't think there were a lot of bright spots there. And I was trying to find the stat on like how many pass plays versus run plays. I saw there were 22 carries.
Yep.
The Browns had 22 run plays. And so
total of 54 plays on offense. And it was 28 passes to 22 rush attempts.
Oof.
Which is to be expected because they were so far behind, you had to pass.
You had to pass. But they didn't establish any running game. And by the time, I don't know, it seemed like they just never got anything going. And the one bright spot was Myles Garrett, I think. He got in there. I do like seeing Roethlisberger get sacked.
I love it as well, but he was not. He was invisible to me, honestly. Like,
how much do you remember Myles Garrett making that sack?
Not much. That's
like the one thing I remember.
Like, and that's the point. You got anything else there, Peter? I didn't want to cut you off.
No. I mean, I'm happy that they're 4-2, but
joking.
They're I expected a lot more today than what I saw.
And that's fair. 100%. That is fair. You should have expected more. But were you expecting a win going into this, knowing Baker was beat up? I'm asking you, Kevin, and everyone out there. Ask yourself, reality check yourself. Did you truly expect to go into Heinz Field, a place you haven't won in 16 years? Baker does extremely well, or even mediocre, okay, with a banged up, bruised ribs going up against, once again, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Bud Dupree, at that point in time, Devin Bush, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden. A lot of stars on that defense. The number one ranked defense, a place that we've been ghosted for the last 16 years. We haven't won there since Tim Couch, our number one overall pick back in 1999. Did you truly expect Baker to go in there and win? Because to me, it sounds like, and I don't talk about it, to me, it sounds like you were, it was win or lose. It was win or nothing for you today. Is that kind of how you saw it?
Yeah, they should have gone in there and built momentum that they've built the last 4 games and gone in there and played 100 miles better than they did today. And they crapped the bed once again. And that is unacceptable. I expected them to go in and play well enough to have an opportunity to win.
Sure.
And the conversation maybe be Baker he's looking like the guy because he won the game for him in the fourth quarter. He was able to make throws in the fourth quarter. Or having the conversation or asking the question, is he the guy because they lost 31-27, he wasn't able to lead them on that last drive. He made the costly mistake to cost them their last drive. That's the kind of game I thought we were going to see. Not something where probably should have been 50 or so to nothing, and Steelers just kind of lulled you to sleep and just, went back to, as Ben Roethlisberger said, old Bill Cowher era, just bell cow backs in the backfield with James Conner and Benny Snell and just running it down your throat and getting those first downs when they needed them, chunk by chunk, piece by piece.
Are the Cleveland Browns a better team than the Steelers?
they should be getting.
Are they a better team?
Clearly not. After today, clearly not.
Are they?
We thought that they were a lot closer going into this day than when we left it.
Are they a better team than the Ravens?
They should be closer than they are.
They're not. They're not.
Okay, I understand.
Are they better than the Colts? I think that they're pretty much on par. That's why last week was an improvement because honestly, you had, and once again, I mean, we know Colin Cowherd and how he does all of his things. He was saying, the Colts should beat the Browns. It should be by field goal, 4 points, whatever, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people started retweeting that sort of thing that he was doing for his Fast Five or whatever he does, Blazing Five. But we went in and we beat the Colts. And they are as good, if not a little bit better than us. Right now, the Steelers are just playing a different ball game than us. And I understand that you want us so bad to be on the level of the Steelers and the Ravens. And I do too. I do too. I want Baker to be throwing for 500 yards and Kareem Hunt to, rush for, 100 yards and a couple of scores. That'd be awesome. But we're not there yet. And
I want to see that they're progressing to that point, though.
I think that
we haven't seen that.
We saw that last week.
No, we didn't. We clearly did not because the team we saw last week is nowhere near the team we saw this week and week 1 in 2 games that you needed to show the most progress.
They struggled mightily today. And they struggled mightily the first week of the year.
That sounds like a Hugh Jackson speech is about to come out right now.
They struggled very much so against really good opponents. We're not there yet. This is Kevin Stefanski's first year. We have to understand that all of this is starting to come together. Are we going to have some bad moments? Yeah. Could we possibly lose to the Raiders or the Bengals? Yeah. I think that that's old Browns though. This is newer Browns. We're not where we want to be yet, but we're getting there. Did today suck? Abso-freaking-lutely. Today was awful. I had no fun.
But
this team can perform. We've seen this team perform. It just didn't happen today. Okay? Baker can be better. It just didn't happen today.
Where is the Baker love meter?
Baker love meter. If last week I believe we were at like an 8.5, which is kind of the standard, for the wins. He hasn't blown off any doors or anything like that. Today it's a lot lower. It's a lot lower. Today, I mean, I'm looking at probably like a 4 or a 5 because it's one of those moments where we saw what Case Keenum does. Case Keenum came in the fourth quarter and didn't blow, didn't do anything great. He was 5 for 10 for like 46 yards and, no touchdowns, didn't take any sacks. Okay, cool. Whatever. They're the same guy. That's what we have to, come to just know is that Baker is Case Keenum. Case Keenum is Baker. It sucks. That sucks. Is Baker going to win you a Super Bowl? After watching today's performance, probably not. He's not at that level yet. Can he make us, get to the playoffs? I think so. And then once again, what happens in the playoffs? Anything can happen in the playoffs. You just got to get there. And right now, we can go 6-2 going into the bye week. And I would have taken that at the beginning of the year. If you told me going into the bye week with our only 2 losses are against to better teams, I would have taken that.
If you tell me that we're 6-2 and we didn't come even close to winning,
and that's fair. That's fair.
Come anywhere even close on the road to those
got
destroyed on those road games that are key in your progress and how you play in those atmospheres based on how they've done in the past. Today would indicate same old Browns. It's the same team that when they came back in 1999 and that game was at home, got their doors blown off, only able to score 7 points. You have lost these games 76-13.
Yeah.
A team that in one way, rightfully so, giving them so much praise for scoring over 30 points for the 4 games in a row for so long. And he thought maybe that first game really was, it's the first game. They didn't have any preseason. It's Kevin Stefanski. Like, there was that built-in excuse meter or
That's fair.
or excuse level that you could make, especially seeing the difference between week 1 and week 2.
Yeah.
Something that former quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, Bernie Kosar, always says anywhere he goes to talk football, you make your most improvement from week 1 to week 2 in any sort of NFL season.
Yeah.
So we thought that kind of was where they were going, and they only had 4 days to get back on track. I guess maybe luckily you go into Baltimore, you get your doors blown off.
Wake up call.
Wake up call. Who's waiting for you? Cincinnati. While they have talent, Joe Burrow looks like the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
They are making those plays as a bottom level NFL team right now that loses them games at the end when they are in it. Kind of what we used to do. Oh, well, those moral victories. Guess what, guys? I'm not in it for moral victories anymore. I'm not.
Okay.
And that's 6-2. Yes, you put yourself on a great path, and I'm not going to be like clamoring and pounding this table like I'm upset because we lost these games. But I'm going to make sure people realize that to take that, if they end up 6-2 at the bye week, don't want to look too far ahead, but if they're able to get to 5-3, 6-2 at the bye week, serious look in the mirror in that bye week to now make your adjustments, have those 2 weeks to really make adjustments to then be what a 6-2 record would say about you, because it feels almost a little deceiving or empty. There's just an empty feeling I have with it. While I love just looking at it in my mind, seeing a picture of 6-2 with the Browns record next to that helmet logo on any sort of standing, like my eyes get bright. Like, I love it. But then reality kind of sets in. It continues to have an empty feeling because you're not showing much of anything at all. Like, you're lucky to even score 6 or 7 points there. You're lucky you didn't get shut out in either one of these games. Like,
I agree.
That's how bad these games were.
The way that I want to present this to you, okay, every team has their kryptonite. It's just a fact. Nobody goes undefeated.
Is the AFC North our kryptonite? Is that where they're going?
The AFC North, our top 2 guys in this division are our kryptonites. I truly 100% believe that, because I think that you would show up against like a Buffalo Bills team. I think that you could take the Bills. We took them last year, and we had Bumble and Freddie doing that. And we
don't
took
tell my buddy Bo.
That's fair. And Josh Allen has been playing like an MVP candidate. Okay. But I think that you can take the Bills. I mean, we just beat the Colts last week. We're going to have the Texans. I know the Texans suck, but they have players. Okay. I think you can put up a fight.
They should have won that game today, by the way.
They should have. They really should have. But I think that you can go in and beat a Tennessee. I think Tennessee and the Browns kind of identical, but Ryan Tannehill is a much better quarterback right now than Baker Mayfield. And he's had some years to season, because at a moment in time, a lot of people don't remember this, Ryan Tannehill was god awful. Now, he did have Adam Gase as his head coach, so let's be careful with that. And we've seen what Adam Gase does to quarterbacks outside of Peyton Manning. Yeah, sorry, Sam Darnold. that is a rough one there for you. So and they're getting beat like 24-0. I don't even know who. It doesn't matter. They're awful. They're probably worse than the 0-16 Browns. Would you say the Jets this year? I mean, they're really bad. And I didn't want to go off on that, but.
I don't know. Kessler,
Kaiser,
Hogan.
That was a really bad team.
Yeah. I mean, they might be equal to it. I don't know that they're worse. Yeah. But is there anything worse than 0-16? Is there a way to
keep losing?
I mean, there's only 2 teams in history, right, that have gone
us and the Lions.
Us and the Lions. Like,
I believe 07 Lions, 06 Lions. Yeah.
I guess just prognosticating in the future, if there's more teams that end up kind of getting in that pool of 0-16, do you think they're
do like a face-off?
Is there like a way? Do you think that it would be
like
feasible enough?
They should do one. I would love to see that.
Or do you feel like you would just look at that bracket of whatever that was and just say, this is a bracket of suctitude that I don't want any part of, and just throw it in the trash or throw it in the fire?
Honestly, that is the toilet bowl of toilet bowls. That's for sure.
That's one. I've never turned down a bracket before, because we've done Disney brackets. We've done
a lot.
Food brackets on the show. We've done so much stuff that we'll get into moving forward to have some more fun. that might be the one and only bracket I would ever turn down in my entire life
And
as a sports fan.
Probably a good one to turn down. But
Yeah.
getting back to this, our kryptonite is the Ravens and Steelers. I mean, you look at the Ravens' kryptonite, it's the Chiefs. That's an easy one. And then you look at the Steelers, it's probably the Patriots. At least whenever Tom Brady was there, it was against the Patriots. And then, the Ravens and the Steelers, they kind of go back and forth, beating each other up. Right now, our kryptonite, just unfortunately for us, is in our division. Okay. Once again, Kevin, I understand that this sucks. Losing this badly, 76-13 between the two opponents sucks.
I was out in the cold a long time today. I may have my math skills might be a little off today. They're usually pretty good, but they might be a little off today. I don't know.
But that all being said, once again, we still got to face them 2 more times, and they are at home for us. Okay. I'm saying you got to win one of those to feel good about yourself.
To feel good, you got to win one.
But even if you did lose those 2, I'm telling you right now, and I know, but if you look at, and we play the schedule game, I love the schedule game. Kevin, not so much. But if you do play the schedule game, Bengals at the Bengals, once again, I think you win that game. And then Raiders at home. Let's say you're 6-2. Then you have the Texans, Eagles, Jaguars, Titans, then the Ravens. Back-to-back weeks, you get the Giants and the Jets. And then you finish up with Pittsburgh. I do believe that week 17 game is probably going to be a play-in game for us. I'll agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
That probably is what it's going to be. Just because the way that the AFC is right now, there's a lot of stacked teams up top, and then there's a lot of bottom feeders. But I do believe that is probably a playing game. So you probably do need to win that Steelers game. At that point in time, who knows what the Steelers are going to be at? I know that you sort of scoffed at it, and I know that you don't mean to scoff at it, but losing Devin Bush is like losing... It's not on par with losing Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs, but it is you're talking a huge drop off. I'm talking Tom Brady to Jameis Winston drop off for that Steelers defense, because not only was he the play caller there, he is that go-to dude for that Steelers defense that sets everyone up everywhere, and he was just that good. Losing him for the entire year hurts them a lot, but they are 5-0 and have a pretty damn good cushion right now. Okay. It is just what it is right now.
Here's why I scoff at that with Devin Bush. Not because he isn't a catalyst for that defense and an integral piece. That guy, the guy there.
That dude.
What were we saying on CBC TV? Mr.
Everything.
Mr. Everything.
Mr. Everything.
Mr. Everything on their defense.
Yeah.
Asian
Bert. Asian Bert was that dude.
Yeah. I hope it wasn't ASEAN or something like that. Because
we'd look like such asses if it was.
I mean,
his family was right in front of us. They didn't correct us.
They didn't correct us.
Yeah.
I started saying his first name a lot less.
Yeah, I noticed that
as the game went on.
I noticed that
because I checked, because we always check pronunciations for doing football games beforehand with coaches or media members. We did that with Trinity High School last night. I had the videographer, a student athlete videographer that's not able to play right now, who's videotaping for St. Thomas Aquinas. I asked him, and there was really no reaction to any name.
Yeah.
Except one that may have been his best buddy. But so then I really was like,
you got to make sure you get this one right, bro.
It was we're getting out of crunch time. It was all that we had left was to go ask him.
Yeah.
But I was like, I hope it's not
and I don't think it was, or else we probably would have heard from the family. It was literally right in front of us.
That's why I don't feel as bad.
Right.
But because they had the opportunity to correct us. So if you didn't, and you're watching back the game on CBC TV, you only got yourself to blame. We're not from the school. We don't live in the same household as the kid.
That's right.
But getting back into the Browns and this conversation of Devin Bush, the reason I guess scoff in a sense is because the reason why the Ravens and the Steelers are our kryptonite is because when they lose that dude, they are still able to, kind of bring in that next piece, or when they lose maybe a few dudes,
Yeah.
they're able to bring in those next few pieces and kind of right the ship just long enough for those guys to come back, finish strong in the season, and then they make a run in the playoffs, I guess, except for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Maybe see the next Andy Dalton. I don't know in the playoffs. We'll see about that. Not trying to, I'm just throwing shade everywhere at this point. I'm just trying to pass it anywhere I can and have a little bit of fun. But again, it's those teams, the ones that continuously compete for playoffs and Super Bowls every single year, are able to replace that dude and have enough guys to recover just enough, not to 100% of what the defense could look like or what that position group could look like for those teams, but just enough to continue on the right track.
And where does that all stem from? Good coaching, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I believe, and once again, you said that Kevin Stefanski's doing decent.
Yes.
Okay. I truly do believe we found our coach. 100%, I believe we found our coach for the next, I don't want to say decade or anything like that, but for at least the next 3 to 4 years, I feel comfortable with Kevin Stefanski right now. Now, does that help?
I can't say that, but that's not a detriment to Kevin Stefanski.
Right. And that's fair. And that's fair.
I'm just giving it time.
And if you want to let it, simmer and just let it stew for a little bit, I'm not going to force you to
Easy
be
on
like
the cooking references, because that has learning to cook has not gone well either.
Oh, well.
So I'm going to let it meander in my brain for a while. I'm a very good thinker, not a good cook.
And that's fair. That's fair. I like to eat. So
if you're a good cook, I'll take the food.
We'll do that. Yeah.
We'll do that. If you want me to cook you a good meal,
yeah. Hold off. Yeah, hold off on
yeah.
that. But once again, I feel comfortable with the way that Kevin Stefanski's rolling. I feel pretty comfortable with his player development that he's been doing a lot with. And it also helps to have really good coaches around you. Once again, I told you the offseason pickup of offseason pickups here for us was Bill Callahan. Our offensive line has played amazing, except for a couple of moments here for us, once again, against the Ravens and the Steelers. Mm-hmm. But they've been playing ridiculously well the other 4 games. And one of those was against a really good defense in the Colts. The player development from Kevin Stefanski gives me hope to know that we will continue on an upward trend. Today was a step back. I'll agree with that. Absolutely, it was a step back. But I don't think just one step back should deter us from what our overall goal is this year. We haven't had a winning season since 2007. Let's start there. Let's start by getting a winning season. And going 6-2 doesn't mean you got a winning season. You could lose the remaining 8 games and be screwed. Okay. I mean, we at one point in time back in 2014, I believe, with Hoyer and Johnny, and it was his rookie year, we went 7-4 and we lost our last 5 games, and that sucked. Okay. But I don't think that that's this team. I think that we got way more talent than what we had on that team. And I truly do believe that if we just follow in Kevin Stefanski's just mindset and do everything that he wants us to do, we will be at 9-10 wins. And hopefully that earns us a playoff berth. If we win 9 games and don't make the playoffs, would I be upset? Probably. But I would also look at that as a win because we finally have a winning season. We just need to change this culture around. Today wasn't a good thing because once again, we still have our demons of the Ravens and the Steelers. But I'm telling you, man, if we can just turn this season around, next year and the years to come could be a lot better for us. And I know there's always next year, sucks saying, but I feel a lot more comfortable saying next year we're going to be a lot better off because we have Kevin Stefanski and whoever we pick up in the draft and free agency.
48 minutes into this.
Yep.
Am I overreaching slightly to the point of thinking, well, 4-2 could transition into 6-2 by the break, and me wanting more? Am I overreaching for wanting more from what the team has been instead of taking that slow progression that
Sure.
Actually going through a process like we say we should?
Right.
Maybe slightly, but I just want people to realize that to just get to the dance, and when you can't beat, like you can't, and it's not even the fact of, beating them all 3 times you have to face them, because if you go into the playoffs and
You're
you
going to
get
have to
past
see
that,
someone.
you're going to have to see one of your kryptonite's going to come up.
Yeah.
So in order to get those ghosts away, you're going to have to try to start beating them in the regular season, proving to yourself that the progress you're making in other games is amounting to you building step by step, whether this year and beyond, into being a continuous Super Bowl contender, which is what the standard should be and should be asked of this team, no matter how bad the organization has been. That is the steps that they need to take to actually get back to relevance. It's the questions of, do you have the right pieces at the key positions, especially the most important position? And if those questions continue to come up, even with a team being 6-2 at the bye week, or maybe going 9-7, 10-6, having that winning record, and that question is still there, have you now, is there an answer, a quick answer, or are you going to continue down that same path? Or have you now kind of wasted a year and you kind of have to almost take a couple steps back to then bring someone else young into that position moving forward? It's those questions kind of looking down the line that I just want people to realize that, yes, 4-2 is a good 6-game start, but they have left a lot out there to be desired. And we need to make sure that that is focused on. And we don't just say, well, Baker didn't have an offensive line in front of him today, and he, this happened and this. Don't go down the excuse train.
Sure.
See the good when it's there, and there is good there, and there is potential there. But also be willing to hold them accountable as they say that they hold each other accountable. And Kevin Stefanski definitely holds himself accountable. I trust that next week they are going to be prepared to get back on the winning track,
right,
and not be the same old Browns where this, snowballs on them, domino effect on them, like we've seen in the past. Just want to make sure that that is the conversation, so that it's not just inside the building, but it's out there for fans too. That there's potential there. Let's not waste it. Don't waste an opportunity to really progress this season by beating the teams that you're supposed to beat, not coming anywhere close to the teams that you're trying to build to get to their level over the next few years.
And just to wrap it up on my end, and you want to try and hit Ohio State here for a second, or LeBron, or what would you like to hit?
I'm going to hit LeBron, man.
You want to hit LeBron?
We're going to hit LeBron.
Let me just finish up my take here for us. I like where your head's at. I do. And we got a little hot tonight. And that's a good thing, because it shows.
And tell people we don't always. That's not a weekly thing.
That is natural. That is all natural, baby. That is.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a little dirty on that one. My bad. Sorry guys. But but it's a good thing, because we're just being honest. We're just being honest,
because I feel a lot better.
It does. It does feel pretty good.
Because my coaching thing today didn't go so well either.
Right. But once again, I understand that that today sucked, and it did. But we are slowly but surely, we are beating the teams that we need to beat, which is what good teams do. Good teams beat the teams that you should beat, and you should be able to compete against the teams that you probably shouldn't beat. And we're still trying to get to that point.
Trying to get to that competing.
Right.
Then beat them.
Absolutely. We're trying to get to that point, and I think it's going to come. I think it's going to happen this year. Okay. Once again, that play-in game, that Week 17 matchup against the Steelers, I think that's going to be the play-in game. And you got to beat them. And at that point in time, I expect them to beat them then. But it's taken a full year, and that's 11 weeks away, 10 weeks away, whatever it is, to get to that point. But at that point in time, I will expect that. Right now, hold off.
To really shut the door on this Browns conversation from today, and then just leave all the crap that came from today right here at this table and walk out of here moving on with this season. I think that the reason why it stings more is because we do see potential, and it's actually manufactured itself on the field over the last 4 games and against a quality opponent like the Colts last week. And it goes right back to that within your own division with games that matter even more. While you do have 2 chances at each team, those games matter a lot moving forward. And you got to be able to get those road games, not just the home game version of it either. So it stings more because of how much potential this team has and should be able to progress. And if we do get to the point of Week 17 being a play-in game instead of being, will the coach be fired after this? Will they even make it out of Pittsburgh, which is
That's progress.
That's typically the conversation.
It is. It is.
You get to that type of game and you play yourself in, then that confidence in that locker room after a full season really begins to grow. And then it really comes down to playoff time. Anything can happen. Only about 5 or so minutes left here. And we kind of left last week as the Lakers were blowing the doors off the Miami Heat, getting their 17th championship and LeBron getting his 4th. And, we saw kind of that score ballooning as we left at halftime.
Yep.
I want to know where you guys stand quickly as we close out. Where do you stand on LeBron's legacy? Will you give him his damn respect as he asked last week? Or is there still more to be desired, even 17 years in and 35, 36 almost?
35.
35, yeah.
35, yep. I mean, he's played half of his life in the NBA. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. And he's going to be starting year 18 in probably 2021.
And they close out the finals at the start of a person's typical next NBA season, which so he
they've
was
been
like
playing an entire year.
Yeah.
They really have. And it is extremely impressive. To me personally, and now I only saw the tail end of Jordan. Okay. I believe you did too. I mean,
Right.
we only saw the tail end of Jordan and then like
I had all the VHS tapes of all his games.
fair enough. But I only saw the tail end of Jordan. So I am going to say that
Yeah.
LeBron to me is the greatest player of all time that I've seen.
Right.
Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of Jordan lovers out there, a lot of Jordan haters too.
Mhm.
A lot of people out there, and you all have your, hey, this happens or this, whatever. All that I know is that LeBron has 4 championships, which is damn good.
Mhm.
Okay, very damn good. He has 4 MVPs. That's pretty damn good too. He's also been to 10 finals. That is almost impossible to do. And not only that, he's done it with 3 different teams with he's had a billion different head coaches. I mean, we talk about Baker struggling because he's on, head coach number 4. He's taking, 5 different head coaches to the dance, whatever.
Right.
I think, and like if we're looking at a Mount Rushmore, he's obviously right there. I think if you want to take Jordan over him, okay, fine. Like that's fine. All that I know is that by the end of his career, he's going to be number 1 in points. He's going to be top 5 in assists. He's going to be top probably 5 or 10 with rebounds and blocks, and number 1 in steals, number 1 in minutes played, number 1 games played in not only the regular season and the postseason and finals. What more could you ask for? And he also came in whenever social media, and I know that if you want to count this, great. If not, whatever. But he had the most hype of anybody to ever live on the face of the earth to try and live up to. At 16 years old, they were saying that, is he going to be the next Jordan? I saw a clip the other day that ESPN played from ESPN2 whenever he was at St. Vincent St. Mary's, and they were comparing, like all of these different guys have one name. It's Magic, it's Jordan, it's Bird, and they were like, can LeBron be that next name? And you're like, he's done it. That was at 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you got to say. I mean, the dude's exceeded every expectation, and I think he's still going to get at least one more, which would put him at 5 and 11 appearances. Who knows? The sky's the limit for this dude. He just keeps getting better.
And Jeannie Buss may break the bank to keep him there, and basically pay that luxury tax.
They were
that
talking
Dan
about
Gilbert
getting
would.
Chris Paul. Which, hey, go for it.
You get Chris Paul, you get Derrick Rose, you get one of those, just someone that LeBron can revitalize them.
Yeah.
Oh boy, wow. Peter, where you stand on LeBron's legacy? Because I know that you were more so in the Jordan era than we are.
Oh, definitely. But I think what Jordan did with the 6 rings and
6 and 6,
6 and 6. So, which
I
is
think
impressive.
5 MVPs too. 5.
Yeah, which is impressive, no doubt about it. But I think if you look at the longevity of LeBron, the fact that he's done it with 3 different teams, the fact that when he did it for us, he carried that team. The difference that he makes as that one player, I honestly think he's, I hate that he left twice, but I think he's gonna. I really think he's gonna go down as the GOAT. So.
Yep.
I mean, you guys know where I stand. If we were to actually have the Jordan versus LeBron debate, and I could dig deep.
Right.
But I saw something on Facebook recently that kind of harkens to your point and your point, Paulus, of if you think Jordan's number 1, you think LeBron's number 1. I mean, you got 2 really good guys to choose
1A,
from.
1B, if that's how it goes.
to choose from there. The thing is, the problem is when people say it's Jordan over LeBron, they disrespect LeBron. When people say LeBron over Jordan, I try not to do this. Maybe my points get in the way of it sometimes, but when some people say LeBron over Jordan, they disrespect what Jordan was and the greatness of Jordan.
Of course.
I'm going to hearken to the one word that I heard LeBron say post-game last week. Respect. Give him his damn respect. Give Jordan his damn respect. Kareem, Magic, Bill Russell, all of the greats throughout history. If you consider yourself a basketball fan, you may get the opportunity to have your once-in-a-generation player, but understand where the game came from to allow this certain X-generation player to have the opportunity to play in this league. Don't just, if you like Jordan more, don't just discredit LeBron. Can we please I'm begging everybody right now. I'm going to make a plea right into this camera to close out this podcast. If you are a basketball fan, if you are a sports fan, if you know the history of the NBA, you have these conversations about greatest of all time. Please, can we just make sure that our conversations revolve around recognizing greatness when greatness is there? Jordan, 6 straight rings in the finals that he attended, 6-0. LeBron, 10 finals, 4 rings, year 17, looking like year 7, looking like prime LeBron still. Just please, please, please recognize, acknowledge, and respect greatness when you see it, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, any other sport that you may have these conversations on. I think that's a good plea.
Solid wrap up.
Solid, yeah. Trying to be professional out here,
It was all natural.
Oh, God. That's where we're going to end the podcast right there, because the look that I got in the eyes to add to the wording. Oh, God, please get me out of here. All right, so for my brother Nick Paulus and our producer extraordinaire Peter Tulloch, thank you all so much for tuning in live to the Big Play Streamer here on VTL_pod on Twitter, to our own Twitter page, or if you're watching the restream, thank you so much for tuning in to the entire show. You can catch us every week at 7 p.m. on all Big Play and VTL Twitter platforms. And you can always catch us throughout the week on Google, Spotify, and Apple. Until next week at 7 p.m., though, I'm here, Kevin Arnold, reminding all of you that don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. And I'm going to go home and watch some Marvel to get over the rest of this day, the rest of the crap of this day. So we truly love you all. 3,000. We will see you all next week.